Well, it took 46 games into the regular season for the Avalanche to have an uninspiring effort on home ice as they get hammered by the Nashville Predators 7-3 tonight at Ball Arena, their first regulation loss at home in front of the Avs faithful. Um, Listen, there's no reason to panic here. There's no reason to lose your mind. But that was a straight up stinker. And it was a stinker from the beginning. Nashville had more juice. Nashville had a little bit more pace. Ryan O'Reilly was fantastic. UC Soros was excellent. Mackenzie Blackwood sucked in his return back to the lineup. His first start since New Year's Eve. The Avs simply, again, for the first time all year at home, the Avs were straight up bad.
I thought they were bad to start the game. I thought that back half of the first period and onward, they were the better team. Man, this game's tied at 2 in the second period, and lots of good chances. Drury had a backside one-time look. The big one was Brent Burns' shot from high that bounced through Saros off the post. Ross Colton thought it was in and started a celebration. And I don't know what happens if he stays on that puck now, because his back was turned. He sees the puck bounce out. He thinks it was back of the net bounced out. It was actually off the post and out. Maybe Ross could have tapped that in. I thought they were playing well. They were getting looks. And then Marty Necas splits the zone and gets tripped, not called. And then like 30 seconds later, Ryan O'Reilly gets his hat trick goal. And okay, obviously the Avs don't score on the power play tonight, but had they gone on the power play there like they should have, maybe that goal doesn't happen. And then of course the freaking Michael Bunting goal happens. Like everything just kind of unraveled after, the Avs were getting some chances. No call. Then O'Reilly scores. Then Bunting scores. Okay, fine. Start of the third. What a rip by Necas. You're back in this thing. And they were playing very well. I mean, not their best, but I thought they were playing very well.
I disagree.
I thought they were moving the puck. I thought they were getting pucks down low. They were fighting. They were keeping pucks in zones. There was something building. And then Bardakov gets called for something that wasn't even called on the ice.
Yeah, the interference call was soft. I guess I understand that you have to go back and review it because of the injury. I don't make that call as a referee for interference. It really wasn't late enough. It was shoulder to shoulder. It's just because the player wasn't ready for the check is why the injury happened. Yeah. The reason why I didn't like how they played tonight is because I thought they were sloppy. I thought they ran into each other. I thought they were bad with the puck. I thought Sam Girard in front of the net tonight had his worst game of the year, and it wasn't even close. I thought that the PK had multiple chances to clear pucks at the end of that power play. Puck jumps over Jack Drury's stick, ends up in the back of your net. And it felt inevitable tonight. That's the reason why I didn't like their play. I thought it was sloppy. I thought it was uninspired. And honestly, what that results in is, well, Nashville, who had the edge tonight. And again, you're not going to have the edge in every game. This is the reason why, what is this, the 24th home game of the year? Like, it's okay that one of these happens every 24 games. Nashville had the edge and they were opportune. You did not have an edge tonight. And as a result, you were not, right? Like, it was 2-2. You were close. Nashville is up 4-2. You get a 4-3 goal from Marty Necas to make this thing somewhat close in the third period. You didn't have the edge. You couldn't punch it home. It was a bad game from Colorado, man. Mackenzie Blackwood was not good. UC Soros was excellent.
Look, they outshot the Preds. Well, I guess ultimately 41-30. That was 40-24 late in that game until the Bardakov penalty. And I just hate that call. And I thought it was interesting that Jared Bednar had the fourth line out there in that moment. They mentioned it on the broadcast as well. It was trust in the fourth line. I thought that when Brindley and Bardakov were out there, they were working their asses off, trying to make things happen. Ivan as well. Ivan had a look in this game. Really nice snapshot. Went a little high wide, but it was a good wide look. Bardakov just scored in the A. I thought he was good tonight. And he's a big guy. He's going to be physical. I don't know if that's like, I think that's purely reactionary that Howla's down on the ice like that. And
yeah, it's a bad call. It affected the overall result of the game. I'll give you that. I don't know if Colorado had enough to get it to tie it, Spring, but the call certainly
it killed
it
you.
certainly
You
poured dirt on the coffin.
Look, you pull Blackwood down 2, and they score an empty netter. But if they're down 1 late in this game, like that thing was not over. They were out shooting them 40-24 until Forsberg scored on the power play, and then they gave up. And I get it. I get it. Excuse me, when Stamkos scored the empty netter, then they gave up. It really gave up actually after the power play goal. That was it. We knew that was it. It was over at that point. But yeah, I mean, Bednar didn't have to put that fourth line out there. I do think this is a game where you miss Landeskog, you miss Taves. Shout out to Nashville. They're the first team to come into Ball Arena and beat you in regulation. They were the ones. I was wondering who it was going to be. And you know what? I don't think Ryan O'Reilly's going anywhere. I don't think
Nashville's going to be right there, Spring. Like they're actually I don't solid. Think Ryan O'Reilly's getting traded.
They're a similar team to Toronto. Like they don't blow you away, but they're good.
Yeah, they'll be sniffing a playoff spot for 82 games this year. Will they make it? I don't know, but they'll be right in the mix for sure. They've got enough veteran players. They won 5 of their first 25 games. They have the 4th most points in the NHL over their last 20 games. Like they're hot. That's a team who's playing well coming into Ball Arena, and they showed the reason why they've climbed back up in the standings, right? Like Ryan O'Reilly is he going to do that every game? No, he's not 26 years old anymore, but he's got the ability to do that once every 7 games, once every 10 games. You can have a 4-point night. No, but he's going to pop in a power play goal, a tip here or there. Would he look great in burgundy and blue again? Yes, but I don't think Nashville should want to trade him, especially if they're sniffing a playoff spot. He's good enough.
Yeah, so he's O'Reilly, Stamkos. They're not going to Dallas. They're not going to Minnesota. Colorado was probably always a pipe dream. UC Saros played very well, and I know that maybe he was a little slow to start this season, but he's a good goaltender. And I don't know if it was radio or TV, someone said he has the most starts since 2021 in the NHL or something like that. Like, he's underrated. He gets overlooked. Man, I remember when he was like a good prospect for them. So yeah, they're a good team. They also are the only team to beat the Avs twice this year so far. And I thought that, man, are you really going to lose back-to-back at home? Well, you did. And look, 3 days off, like the sleepy start, 3 days off. Okay, Nashville also had 3 days off. But I do think with both sides with 3 days off, and every time, and especially if you're a solid team and you're believing in yourself, when you come into this building now, like it's a challenge. It's you feel like you've won the Stanley Cup in a way. Like there's an extra kick, there's an extra celebration if you win in this building. And I think Nashville wanted it from the jump. I think they absolutely wanted it from the jump. So yeah, both teams get 3 days off, but Colorado, 3 days off. All right, time to get back on the ice. Oh, wait, we're doing this again. Whereas Nashville was like, no, we're going to beat these fuckers tonight.
Right. And what I think this is calling it a wake-up call is kind of a joke to me, because they're very much awake, right? Like they have a ridiculous lead in the Central Division. They're going to be the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. It's going to be fine. So it's not a wake-up call. I do think it is Oh, we're going to get everybody's 100% best shot from here on out. And I don't know, maybe this takes a little bit of like the poison out of visiting teams coming to Colorado, because now there is no longer the Avs have won 14 straight at home, or the Avs have gone 24 straight games since the beginning of the season without losing in regulation at home. All that's gone now. All of those, like, I wouldn't call them sexy stats, but all of those quirky, hasn't been done since the 1970s type of things, those are all gone now. Now it's just it's straight up hockey. And I think it might be a little bit sobering, but a wake up call is a little bit too strong to me because of how good they've been this year, overall, and certainly at Ball Arena. It was a bad game. Blackwood wasn't good. Saros was great. And Saros was the reason why this game was a Nashville lead in the third period. The score is worse than the actual effort out on the ice tonight. 7-3 doesn't really tell the story of the game. I think it was more of a 2-goal spread between Colorado and Nashville tonight, but it was because, first and foremost, you started sleepy, and second off, your goaltender, who hadn't played a game in 15 days, was rusty versus UC Saros, who looked like a Vezina Trophy candidate again.
Yeah, I thought Blackwood got better as the game went along. Some of them are tips. One of them is off of Sam Girard's blade. And you mentioned Girard. Girard's coming up in the chat.
He was bad tonight. He was straight up bad.
Was it the hat trick O'Reilly goal that he was bodied up on Girard?
Yep.
Girard was okay. So Girard does look. This is his worst. This to me was the only thing he really did wrong tonight. I know we don't like a tip in in the crease going through, but I don't know. Sometimes that happens. It can almost happen to anybody. Okay, yeah. On the one where he gets bodied up by O'Reilly, though, I mean, it's a terrible fight. It's a terrible fight from Girard. Girard is literally just standing there. I will say, like in the third period, and I felt them making a push. Was it their best push? No. But I thought they were doing everything that they possibly could to make the right plays. They were dominating the possession. I know that Nashville's probably in more of a defense mode, but Girard was noticeable to me. He was keeping pucks in zones. He was moving them well to the open guys. Does he absolutely need to just cross-check the hell out of O'Reilly in that spot? Yes. And you want to know why? Somebody cross-checked Gavin Brindley late in this game, like right in the upper jaw in the crease. And it sucks because we've seen that called.
They're not going to fucking call it.
It's such a coin flip. I don't know when they call the cross-check net front and when they don't. But guess what? Sam's undersized. You just got to be a little bulldog. You just got to be a little pest. You can't just simply stand there and let Ryan O'Reilly own that space with no pushback.
Yeah, they're not going to call it, especially as the smaller player giving him a chop in the ribs from behind. They're not going to call it on Girard. If Girard was 6'8" and he chops down O'Reilly in front of the net, there's a bigger propensity for the referee to make that cross check or that interference call in front of Blackwood. What you have to do there as a smaller player, if you get boxed out, is you have to fight to front the shot. You have to get in front of O'Reilly at that point. You have to, it is, again, read the game notes. Know who's in front of you. Read the number, read the name. That is one of the very best net front players in the game today. Like, his goal 31 seconds in, man, is the most Ryan O'Reilly goal I've ever seen. I remember it like it was yesterday. Watching Ryan O'Reilly go through this drill, and he does it alone. He's the only dude on the ice, and what he does is he has an empty net, and then he goes to the other ice, and he takes the other net all the way down 200 feet. He lays it in front of the empty net, pulls it down so that the crossbar and the posts are laying flat on the ice, and the large part of the net is circling up and over the open goal mouth. So all you can see is a few inches underneath the crossbar and a few inches in the corner. And all he does is sit there, and he goes through 50 pucks, and he catches a puck, goes forehand, backhand, shelf, backhand, forehand, shelf, forehand, backhand, shelf. And he does it for 50 pucks, and he doesn't fucking miss. It is one of the most mesmerizing individual drills I've ever watched in this league. And to watch him do that 31 seconds into the game, I was like, I've seen that before. I've seen him do that in an Avalanche uniform. I've seen him do that at practice and at pregame skates before playing as an opposing player here in Colorado. for Sam Girard to not realize who's in front of him there, and I know things happen like that in the NHL, you got to front the player and front the puck.
I will say, I mean, it wasn't just his hat trick. Ryan O'Reilly was so good tonight, and I don't care what his numbers, if they've been down this year. That dude is always someone I want on my team. Like, he's just a good player. He had a sequence in the third period defensively where he's just, I can't remember which Avs player had it along the boards, but the Avs are doing like all, again, they're doing all they could to keep these pucks in the zone. And O'Reilly was just relentless, stealing a puck. And then he made a play offensively on the other side. And I'm just like, what a shift. Like, what a freaking shift. And it was a little thing like that really helped Nashville stave off Colorado from tying that thing before what I think it's a bullshit call on Bardakov. So yeah, Ryan O'Reilly, he just had himself a great game. He reminds me, now they're a little bit different of players, but as far as he doesn't get the love, but what he brings to a team is kind of what like a Landeskog brings to a team.
Sure. I can see that.
It just, they're veteran physicality, but skill as well.
Yep.
It net front, dirty.
They're not going to be 100-point players.
Yeah, they're so unheralded. O'Reilly doesn't get the love, although O'Reilly he got that. Is that a nationwide commercial? No goals with UC Soros. So O'Reilly got the
no goals.
I think O'Reilly's the other player in that. So at least he got that.
I'm sure Gabe has a commercial in Sweden somewhere where he's doing just fine.
Nate Natchez is getting that little YouTube documentary on him or something like that.
Oh yeah, the NHL My World. Yeah, that'll be pretty cool to watch.
Man, that shot from Natchez, that's exactly what they needed. And like that player with that game-changing type shot, I wonder what would have happened if the refs would have made the proper call on the Bardakov play. I really do.
Yeah, I don't know if Colorado had enough to get it done, and I do think Soros was playing well enough that they probably would have found a way to get to the end line there. It would have been nice to see Colorado up 6-on-5 down by a goal, because we know that they've been really good in that situation.
Things. Like down 2, you're like with 3 minutes to go.
Yeah, you're loosey-goosey. You're
go too.
100%. Down 2, you're trying something for like, this might work. This pass might work 1 out of 20 times, but if it works, it's a grade A scoring opportunity. When you're down 2, you're just going, you know what? Fuck it. We're probably going to lose anyways.
You can feel the energy and the urgency change.
Yeah. Saros made a few big time like grade A saves. He made 2 of them on Drury. He made 1 of them on Victor Olofsson.
There was a Malinsky one I wanted to mention where Nate had this really sick like low to high pass. Great vision from Nate. And Malinsky walks in and it hit off of a Predator's stick and it almost goes 5-hole. It almost just wasn't their night when you look at stuff like that.
Oh yeah, Cale, the wide open shot that Cale Makar had in the first period when Colorado had already tied it up at 2-2, right? The best 12 minutes that any team had started off this year at Ball Arena, and Colorado was tied 2-2 after the best 12 minutes an opponent had all year long. Makar gets a puck in at the end of the first period. Colorado's first line is cycling Nashville to death, right? Makar zips down the right-hand side. Saros is screened by 3 players. You can see like 2.5 square feet of net for Cale, and he takes his ice, right? He skates. He takes that angle. He takes that space. And he's got the full short side, and he just simply misses the net. There were those types of situations that you go like, if Cale scores that, it's 3-2, and like it's a vastly different game. So I can see how you look at the 7-3 final and you go, dude, they weren't that bad. I guess I can be talked into. It wasn't a horrendous performance. It did just felt like they didn't have it and they were fighting it and they weren't inspired. And again, if that happens once every 25 games at home, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I know. Look, I'll concede that, the first 10 minutes of this game were a disaster. They were a disaster. They didn't have that jump, which they've had all season long. Again, maybe it's 3 days off. And at a certain point, and I've commended them for not taking a night off. At a certain point, human nature takes over, and you just don't have that true sense of urgency. You haven't played in 3 days, and you're still 11 points ahead of Dallas. Like, you've created an 11-point cushion. You really have kind of achieved your goal, even though it's not done yet. But it feels like you've created that cushion you wanted to do. It is about
So
that
that
time where you rest on your laurels just a tick.
right, you create the 11-point cushion so you can have these snooze fests every
Yeah.
now. Like if it turns into a 3 or 4 game skid and it turns into a trend for Colorado, then we start having conversations. But that's the reason why you go balls to the walls, because, well, teams have games like this, and that is, it's sobering. I think it is something for the Avs to look at, like, hey, we're superhuman, but we're still human at some point, right? Like, we're not an unbeatable hockey club. They'll be fine. They weren't good tonight. Blackwood was he was sketchy, but again, he hadn't played in half of a month at this point. That I'm gonna be okay with it. I will be fine. I see people going, "Oh, the power play coach should be fired." The issue for that, guys, is well, the power play coach is also the guy who is he's in charge of the best neutral zone and best offensive zone forecheck in the National Hockey League, and that's Dave Haxtell. Dave Haxtell, in his entire career, even going back to North Dakota, has never really had a good power play. So I don't really love the idea of like bringing Dave Haxtell in at the beginning of the season to fix the power play. What he has done is he's been amazing in terms of implementing a similar system, but getting the Avs to be, without a doubt, head and shoulders the best 5-on-5 team, the best forechecking team and back pressure team in the NHL. So he's responsible for that. So if you want to get rid of the best 5-on-5 systems in the league in lieu of making the power play better, I don't see hockey the same way you do. Now, I'd be happy to hire another guy for the power play and take those duties away from Haxtell, but firing Dave ain't the answer. He's really good everywhere else than special teams.
Yeah, so apparently as soon as they got that empty net goal, I tuned out. I didn't even realize they scored a 7th until just before this show started. Apparently, the Avs had a power play late in this game too. Maybe did they pull Blackwood and make it a 6-on-4, and that was McCarron's empty netter? I don't know.
They had a power play late.
Okay.
There was I don't know who, Craig Smith maybe took a penalty. Is Craig Smith still a Nashville Predator?
Cole Smith. But yes, I
Cole
do remember
Smith.
Craig Smith. We also work with the Cole Smith. But so they really only had one, I guess 0 for 2, but the one they had in the second period, again, it's 2-2 when they have this power play. And they got a couple looks to Lehkonen in the slot. One of them,
Really?
Lecky fanned on. The other, he did put a good look on. That's really all they were able to do. They struggle with zone entries a tick. One thing that just crossed my mind, because I'm thinking now about Nashville's power play goal that sealed this thing, the Forsberg goal. O'Reilly, left-handed shot, is down low right, and he's so patient, and he sets up Forsberg kind of middle right with bodies in front. And so Forsberg, a right-handed shot, is scoring from the right side. Okay. Why don't the Avs consider Brock Nelson in that low right role and Natchez more middle high right, like where Forsberg scored from?
Where do you put Kale then?
Point left.
Where do you put Nate?
Left. I'm just saying float Natchez over, not all the time, but sometimes get him and Brock on that right side together sometimes instead of Nate and Natchez on the left side together.
I mean, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with the Forsberg slot being McCarr and the far point on the other side being Nathan McKinnon, and maybe Natchez you put in the middle in like a bumper situation, or you just take Natchez off the power play and you try and get a lefty there, but the Avs don't have a glut of lefties. I see what you're trying to do. It was a good look, without a doubt. I understand that situation, man.
It's whatever Nashville.
All right, let's hear from
Hey
D-Mac
guys,
quickly.
this is one of those weird ones where I can't hear you, but it looks like I'm in. So I'll just give you the quick report here. that was as harsh of a condemnation as you'll ever hear Jared Bednar give a team in the postgame. In terms of positives, he said no positives. He said he hated the game from start to finish. He didn't want to criticize any one player because he said there were too many other players that he would go in on. And in terms of conversations with the team over the next couple days, his comments were, they won't be nice words. And they've had this little string that he said in the past 6 games, loses 4 of 6, where he says they're just not playing hard on D the way they need to. And you can't just use the missing players as an excuse. So this is a little bit of a hump here for the Avs. And by the way, on the Barkov penalty, they called a 5-minute major so they could go look at it later. And I don't know if that was all that obvious, but that's what was going on, because you can review a major penalty and you can't do that just for a minor penalty, but you can reduce if you want to after you look at it. So that's what was going on there. But, you know, Bednar didn't imply that that was like the biggest game changer in the world. He wasn't happy with their game period, although he liked elements of what they were doing in the second, but it clearly wasn't tied in together the way they needed to be. So that's it from Ball Arena. Kind of a downer, as they were 19-0-3, and they take their first regulation loss, where Ryan O'Reilly, and what I'd be curious to hear from you guys is, should the Avs do a trade for Ryan O'Reilly? Jared Bednar was asked that question, and he goes, well, not if they keep playing like that, they're not going to trade him. But I'd be curious what your thoughts are. So I'll sign off from Ball Arena, where, I don't know, there's people skating on the ice. There always are, and I have no idea why. See you guys.
That's DMAC live from Ball Arena. I think echoing a lot of what we've said. I didn't really like the game overall.